a revolt. Go back to that 50 Cent post. Because I'm going to tell you why 50 is literally is a diabolical genius.
So that's just competitive energy.
Competitiveness.
All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him
okay,
like that.
damn, all right. I didn't know what that meant. Then.
All right,
okay.
The feud between 50 Cent and Diddy didn't just begin. It erupted, simmered, then exploded into one of the most ferocious rivalries in the music industry. It's a saga of missed opportunities, personal slights, and escalating provocations that have turned two hip-hop giants into relentless adversaries. To understand how it got here, you have to rewind to a time when both men were clawing their way to the top, each with a vision as big as their ambitions, but coming from starkly different worlds. One was a scrappy survivor from the streets of Queens, the other a polished, business-savvy mogul who built his empire with a mix of charm and ruthless precision. From the start, their paths were destined to collide.
50's be
Fifth, y'all don't even. Fifth
play
is
around if you
different.
want to.
Fifth is different.
And he's on tour.
He's
He ain't even in America.
Back in the early 2000s, 50 Cent was making waves in New York's underground rap scene. He had the kind of raw talent and street credibility that couldn't be ignored. His mixtapes were already legendary, his name buzzing from the boroughs to the boardrooms. But at the time, 50 wasn't yet the household name we know today. He was still a hungry artist trying to secure his spot in the limelight. And who better to help him than Sean Diddy Combs, the kingmaker behind Bad Boy Records. Diddy had built his brand on spotting talent and turning it into gold. But when 50 Cent came knocking, ready to join the Bad Boy roster, Diddy hesitated. Scratch that, he flat out passed. And that, right there, might have been the moment that set everything in motion.
The documentary, I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G-Unit movie. And
It wasn't just a rejection, it was a missed opportunity so colossal that even years later, Diddy's decision looks like one of the biggest fumbles in music history. Tony Yayo, 50's longtime ally and G-Unit member, would later spill the tea in a Vlad TV interview saying, "A lot of people don't know this story. 50 went to Diddy for Bad Boy. We had the meeting and it was wild that Diddy didn't sign him. Wild doesn't even begin to cover it. Imagine having a young, hungry 50 Cent sitting in your office ready to take over the game and saying, nah, not interested." According to Yayo, Diddy had his reasons that in hindsight seem more like excuses. He was reportedly spooked by 50's street connections, particularly his ties to the notorious Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Diddy didn't want the heat, didn't want the drama, but in trying to play it safe, he might have made one of the riskiest moves of his career. "I think Puffy was always about what fattened his pockets first," Yayo said, not pulling any punches. And he's not wrong. Diddy built his empire on calculated moves, and back then, aligning with 50 Cent seemed like a gamble he wasn't willing to take. But here's the kicker, 50 didn't forget. Rejection might have stung, but it also fueled him. When Eminem and Dr. Dre swooped in, recognizing the potential Diddy had overlooked, they gave 50 the platform to unleash Get Rich or Try. The album didn't just make noise, it detonated. Suddenly, 50 wasn't just a rapper, he was a force of nature. And Diddy? Well, he was left watching as the artist he passed on became the biggest name in the game.
they once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been dead.
But 50 didn't just move on. No, he carried that chip on his shoulder like a badge of honor. The rejection wasn't just business, it was personal. And as 50's star rose, he made it his mission to remind Diddy of exactly what he'd missed out on. Publicly, he started taking shots, sometimes subtle, sometimes not so much. In interviews, in music, on social media, 50 made it clear that he had no respect for the man who once turned him away. One of his most infamous digs came in the form of a diss track, where he suggested Diddy might have been involved in some shady dealings surrounding the late notorious B.I.G. It was a low blow, sure, but it was classic 50. Calculated, cutting, and designed to hit where it hurt.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
And then there's the trolling. Oh, the trolling. If there's one thing 50 Cent has mastered, it's the art of turning shade into spectacle. Over the years, he's turned Diddy into a punchline, mocking everything from his fashion choices to his infamous parties. Who could forget the time 50 posted a photo of himself in a hospital bed surrounded by stuffed animals with a caption that seemed to take a swipe at Diddy's public image? "Report to the nearest rainbow," he wrote, hinting at rumors that have long swirled around Diddy's personal life. It was petty, yes, but it was also undeniably effective. 50 knew exactly how to get under Diddy's skin, and he did it with surgical precision. But it's not just 50 who's kept this feud alive. Diddy, for all his polish and poise, has taken his own shots over the years. Whether it's shading 50's business ventures or questioning his staying power in the industry, Diddy has never been above throwing a little gasoline on the fire. Yet, for all his bravado, there's a sense that Diddy's always been playing defense. While 50 thrives on chaos, Diddy seems to prefer control. And when that control slips, when the headlines turn against him, or when someone like 50 drags his name through the mud, he struggles to regain his footing.
Don't trust nobody. In Hollywood, specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
That dynamic has been on full display in recent years, especially as Diddy's personal and legal troubles have piled up. From lawsuits to federal investigations, his once untouchable empire has started to show cracks. And 50, he's been there every step of the way, turning Diddy's misfortunes into fodder for his relentless trolling. When news broke of the federal raids on Diddy's properties, 50 wasted no time. Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done, he quipped on social media. It was brutal, it was merciless, and it was exactly what we've come to expect from a man who never misses a chance to twist the knife. But if you thought 50 was the only one keeping this feud alive, think again. Enter Diddy's sons, King Combs and Christian Combs, who've recently stepped into the fray with a boldness that can only be described as reckless. King Combs, in particular, has been making waves with bars that seem tailor-made to provoke 50. Take his recent line, "Police raid the crib like we selling tracks, but we out here selling plaques." It's a not-so-subtle jab at the federal attention on Diddy's properties, and it's exactly the kind of move that could turn a simmering feud into a full-blown inferno.
He doesn't care what, the new generation thinks of him. He doesn't care what he says offends people. It's classic Slim Shady.
And then there's Christian Combs, whose diss track aimed at 50 didn't just push boundaries, it bulldozed right through them. In one particularly eyebrow-raising bar, he hinted at some behind-the-scenes drama involving his father and the feds, suggesting that whatever they were looking for wasn't even in the house they raided. "Too bad they didn't know we bought the one next door," he rapped. It was a flex, sure, but it was also dangerously close to spilling secrets that could have serious consequences. Whether intentional or not, Christian's words added a new layer of intrigue to an already tangled web of allegations, rivalries, and rumors. But here's the thing, for all their bravado, Diddy's sons are playing a dangerous game. They're stepping into a feud that's been brewing for decades, one that their father has never fully been able to control. And when you're up against someone like 50 Cent, a man who thrives on conflict, who spent years turning his enemies' missteps into ammunition, you'd better be prepared for the fallout. Because if there's one thing we know about 50, it's that he doesn't just fight battles, he wages wars, and he doesn't stop until he's won. Yet, as the feud continues to escalate, it's becoming clear that this isn't just about petty insults or public jabs. There's something deeper at play here, something darker. And if the past is any indication, the real story, the one lurking beneath the surface, is far more explosive than anyone could have imagined.
Eminem doubles down, and I say double down because Eminem has kind of sent shots at Diddy before, but on this, he really doubles down on Diddy.
But the feud between 50 Cent and Diddy goes beyond public jabs, diss tracks, and family players stepping into the ring. Beneath the surface lies an older, darker shadow, one that has loomed over hip-hop for decades. It's a story rooted in betrayal, street politics, and the kind of secrets that don't just ruin careers, they redefine legacies. And at the center of this shadow lies one of the most infamous tragedies in music history, the assassination of Shakur. A case so tangled in conspiracy and silence that even now, nearly 3 decades later, it's still the unsolved riddle haunting the industry. Yet, in the chaos of the ongoing feud, whispers and accusations have dragged Diddy's name into this murky narrative, with 50 Cent acting as a megaphone for the suspicions no one dared to say out loud. But is there fire behind the smoke? Or is this just another layer of the sprawling vendetta?
I just got sent like a bunch of Tupac acapellas and went crazy with them.
The East Coast-West Coast rivalry of the 1990s wasn't just a cultural divide, it was a war zone. And the players weren't just rappers, they were icons representing entire coasts, entire ways of life. On one side, you had Suge Knight's Death Row Records, the unapologetic, in-your-face embodiment of California's swagger and grit. On the other, Sean Diddy Combs' Bad Boy Records, the polished, champagne-soaked epitome of New York's hustle and flair. And caught in the crossfire were their protégés, Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., 2 of the greatest rappers of all time. But this wasn't just a battle of bars and beats. It was personal, it was political, and it was dangerous. The tension wasn't just palpable, it was explosive. And when Shakur was gunned down in Las Vegas in 1996, the fallout was seismic.
These 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
For years, the assassination of Shakur has been shrouded in mystery, speculation, and more conspiracy theories than you can count. Was it gang retaliation, a robbery gone wrong, or something far more calculated? Among the many theories that have circulated, one name has repeatedly surfaced in hushed tones and veiled accusations: Diddy. It's a connection that has never been proven, never been substantiated in a court of law, but has nonetheless lingered like a ghost over his career. And it's a connection that 50 Cent, never one to shy away from controversy, has repeatedly alluded to in his not-so-subtle digs at the bad boy mogul. But where did these suspicions come from, and why do they persist?
PD named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac.
Enter Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a name that has become infamous in the world of hip-hop lore. A former gang figure with ties to the Southside Crips, Keefe D has long claimed to have insider knowledge about what really happened that night in Vegas. And according to him, the trail of events that led to Shakur's demise didn't just start in the streets, it started in the boardrooms. In a chilling confession made during a secretly recorded police interview, Keefe D alleged that Diddy had once made an offhand remark that sent shockwaves through the room. "I'll give anything for that dude's head," he reportedly said, referring to Suge Knight. But according to Keefe D, the implied bounty didn't stop at Sugar. It extended to Shakur as well. The price? Millions. The motive? Revenge.
The only man currently facing charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
Now let's pause for a second. These are serious allegations, the kind that could destroy reputations and rewrite history. And to be fair, Diddy has vehemently denied any involvement, calling the claims ridiculous and pure fiction. But the thing about rumors, especially in an industry as cutthroat as hip-hop, is that they don't need proof to thrive. They just need a spark. And Keefe D's incendiary claims have provided plenty of fuel for the fire.
I ain't gonna go into details like that, you know what I'm saying? But, you got it in a book.
Keefe D didn't stop there. He painted a vivid picture of how the events allegedly unfolded, claiming that Diddy's fear of Suge Knight and anger over Shakur's scathing diss track Hit 'Em Up were the driving forces behind the supposed plot. According to Keefe D, the deal was allegedly brokered through a mutual acquaintance, with instructions passed down like whispers in a dark alley. The result? A hit that forever altered the course of music history. But here's where things get even murkier. Keefe D has also admitted to being in the vehicle that discharged the rounds that ended Shakur, an admission that has landed him in legal trouble. Yet, for all his claims and counterclaims, one question remains. Why hasn't Diddy's name been cleared or confirmed in this narrative? Is it because the truth is too tangled to unravel, or because the industry doesn't want to pull at the thread?
Right now, Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his trial, which he has pleaded not.
What makes Keefe D's claims even more explosive is the detail he provided about the alleged payment for the hit. According to him, the cash never came directly from Diddy's hands, but was funneled through a third party, Eric Zip Martin, a mutual connection between the Southside Crips and the Bad Boy Camp. Keefe D claimed that Zip not only supplied the weapon used in the shooting, but also arranged for the transaction to be handled discreetly. But here's the twist. Keefe D alleged that Zip pocketed the payment for himself, leaving the Crips feeling betrayed and fueling suspicions of double dealing. This revelation adds yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted story, raising more questions about who was pulling the strings and who ultimately benefited from Shakur's demise. And then there's the infamous meeting at the Hollywood House of Blues, where Keefe D said he confronted Diddy after the shooting. He described Diddy as visibly uneasy, allegedly refusing to make eye contact and instead directing Keefe D to meet him later at a nearby hotel. He was shook, Keefe D claimed, painting a picture of a man who seemed to realize he might be in over his head. But the promised meeting at the hotel reportedly never happened, leaving Keefe D to wonder if the bad boy mogul was deliberately trying to distance himself from the fallout. If true, this would suggest not just guilt, but a calculated effort to erase any potential link to the events in Vegas, a move that speaks volumes if you believe Keefe D's account. And then there's 50 Cent, who has made it his personal mission to keep these allegations in the spotlight. Whether through his music, his social media posts, or his upcoming Netflix documentary, 50 has consistently hinted, sometimes outright stated, that Diddy knows more about Shakur's assassination than he's letting on. In one particularly pointed social media post, 50 shared a photo of Diddy alongside a caption that read, "Who shot Pac? We may finally find out." It was a masterclass in trolling, but it was also a calculated move to stoke the flames of suspicion. And it worked. The post went viral, reigniting debates and dragging Diddy's name back into the conversation.
When I get to that certain level where I'm gonna be able to speak and people are gonna listen, then I'm gonna tell my side of the story.
But 50 isn't the only one throwing shade. Eminem, ever the lyrical sniper, has also weighed in, albeit in his own cryptic way. In his recent tracks, Eminem has dropped lines that seem to point directly at Diddy, referencing not only the East Coast-West Coast feud, but also the unresolved questions surrounding Shakur's demise. In one particularly chilling verse, Eminem rapped, "Rest in peace, Biggie and Pac, both of y'all should be living. But I ain't trying to beef with him, cause he might put a hit on me like Keef D did." It's a line that's as provocative as it is ambiguous, leaving fans dissecting every word for hidden meaning. Was it a direct accusation, a playful jab, or something more? Whatever the intention, the impact was clear. Eminem had just poured gasoline on an already raging fire.
I'm out to accomplish a lot of things, and I wanna have a voice in hip-hop. I wanna have a voice, I wanna be able to speak and people listen.
Meanwhile, Diddy has largely stayed silent on the matter, choosing to focus his energy on damage control for his other legal troubles. But his silence has only fueled more speculation. After all, in the court of public opinion, silence often reads as guilt. And with federal investigations now circling his properties, the walls seem to be closing in. Could the renewed attention on Shakur's assassination be the final nail in the coffin of Diddy's public image? Or is this just another chapter in the endless saga of conspiracy and intrigue that surrounds the hip-hop world?
You know, people are gonna pass judgment. They're gonna say what they wanna say, and they're gonna make their own conclusions or whatever.
As the feud between 50 Cent and Diddy continues to escalate, it's clear that this is no longer just a battle of egos. It's a battle for legacy, for truth, and perhaps most importantly, for control of the narrative. And while the truth about Shakur's assassination may never fully come to light, one thing is certain: the questions aren't going away. If anything, they're only getting louder. So, what do you think? Is this just another round of baseless accusations, or is there something deeper at play? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.